A matte isn't always pulled from a green screen. There are times when it's favorable to pull a matte from the luminance values, the brightness values of an image, and this is such a scene. We've got that foreground, that background, and clearly the sky is a good candidate for such a mask. We can have a bit of a more analytical, proper look at it if we go to the luminance channel, press Y, and maybe even pull down the gamma of the viewer a bit, and we can see very clearly that although there is noise here and in there, we have got a very nice line between the two areas. So our border can be relied upon, and that will probably make a good mask. So let's set back things to their default. And the thing I'm going to use to pull that mask is a keyer. Now a key isn't the only thing you can use. You could play around with a color curves to manipulate a channel or create an extra channel based on luminance. But this is a pretty good and pretty easy to use utility. Let's just go over to the alpha, and the alpha at the moment is identical to the luminance channel. We can manipulate what gets accepted as the black and the white values. Currently all of these areas here, so from the black to the mid-grey, is now being turned into the black part of the alpha, and I'm making some adjustments to the white. Let's just pump down and up that gamma just to check the two ranges. Okay, you could probably afford to pull that over a little bit. The most crucial part is the edge. Let's turn the proxy off, and we want a reasonably soft edge. That'll do, that'll do. Maybe a tiny bit too soft, but we'll soon know. Go away from the alpha, go full screen on that. Now let's just do a quick merge. And we've got a disaster. Now let's just see what's happening there. If I turn the foreground on and off, you can see what's happening is that the alpha is actually being pulled from the wrong part. We've got our alpha, a rough alpha, but it's inverted. So let's see if there's a way of inverting it. Just press this button here. Let's just go over up here, shall we? Oh, whilst we're here, you can see on the pull down values, you can actually pull a key from any one of these channels. To be frank, the most useful one is probably the luminance. The saturation might be an interesting option, though. I wouldn't use it to pull a green screen or a red screen, though. So we got our invert. Let's go out again. And, well, again, that's not looking very good, is it? Well, what do we need? Let's try a pre-multiplication. Let's just go over to our channel there. Obviously, our foreground is not pre-multiplied, so let's do so. Oh. And there we go. Okay, so if we layer that over that and that over that, we've got the beginnings of a good mask. Now it'll take some tidying up, and I've got one I prepared earlier, and I'll just go through the fundaments of it. So there's our luminance mask using the keyer. Now this operation here, let's just go over to here, read from this point. Now I used a merge here, and I fed a Bezier into one side, so coming in on one side the Bezier, coming in on the other side the original mask. So we are combining that with that to produce that. That's a classic max operation. Okay, let's go over to alpha again, color channel. Now let's just ignore these for the time being. This was the result. Now that's fine, it's got quite a nice edge. Whoa, slow redraw. Okay. However, if we go closer, we can see there's kind of noisy white stuff on the edge. You're never going to get rid of that in any kind of matting operation. So what we do instead is cheat. Now let's show you what I did. I applied a multiply over, and that obviously got rid of it. However, it obviously also made the foreground way too dark. So what we do, we construct a matte from the edge. We want a matte, essentially we want a matte that occupies a thin, well, we want a mask, I beg your pardon. We want a mask that looks like that, that will just mask out that multiply just so it touches the top of the trees. So how did we do that? Well, it's pretty simple. We first of all pulled out an edge detect. Now we can't see this until we actually go into the alpha. So let's do that. And the edge detect in this instance is only looking, let's look at its values in fact, is looking at the alpha for its edge, and it's outputting an alpha. We then use an erode, again slow redraw, and that'll make things larger. Erode. Well, actually, theoretically it'll make it smaller, but what it does, it makes the black area smaller, so the white area is larger, if you see what I mean. Playing around with this sliding value, you can make it larger and smaller. Okay. And finally, we apply a small blur. Redraw. Okay, and that is what we use as the mask on our multiply. Deselect and go over to color. In fact, you can probably see it better if I go to the final version. There we go. So if I switch that on and off, you see, let's just zoom in a bit, on and off, there we go. So it'll take some tidying up before it's absolutely, ready to run, but it's a mask and it's pulled from the luminance with a little bit of cheating.